We could have done that in the What's New section, but we kind of teased this. We did a little teaser video on it.
Yeah, so...
And we're going to publish a full video review of it soon. Just tell us what I'm talking about, Steve.
So I suppose the best way to introduce this is to do a little reading. If you hear noise, it's because I'm opening a package right now.
This is part of your 2015 plan.
This is... Kindly remember, the K is darkened. The ridiculous hype, the L is darkened. That offends so many, the O is darkened. Is not of my making, the N is darkened.
This is a secret message.
Many of you right now already know what I'm talking about. You know what that text is from. I am holding in my hands at this moment a Klon KTR.
Yes, you are.
The buffer is in the almost always better setting.
I was surprised by the color of the knobs of this. In pictures, they always look white to me.
Yeah,
but
it's very gray.
They're gray. I don't know if you got a special one that has special gray knobs, or if the pictures are just.
I think in daylight,
funky.
They're just a lot brighter.
But you ordered this thing new.
Yeah.
With the intention of possibly flipping it at some point when the inventory gets low again.
Yeah, it's been tough because I bought it and I paid $269 plus shipping.
That's a pricey pedal, Steve.
Your guys are hearing a lot of paper noise because I'm... Oh, this is what I was looking for. Here's instructions. Oh, these are all just controls. It's not description. So I'm not going to read all of this because it's super long. But anyway... I bought this from Humbucker Music, $269 plus shipping. So it was about it was $279. It was flat rate shipping. And I bought it in the hopes that in a month or two the market will rebound, because typically these KTRs hit the market about once every 4 to 6 months. And right now, immediately after release, that market has tanked.
Right. But still, you could break even on this thing.
I could break even.
Or make a little bit of change on it still.
I think it would be hard to make money on it right now.
Okay. Because they're available.
It would be, if I made money, it would be a very small amount. I'd make like 10 or 15 bucks. Prior to this most recent release... February 2015. Actually, it was the end of January. These were running about $400 on the used market.
Gotcha.
Again, I paid $280. This is one of those pedals that like sells for $100 more than is used.
Right. Just because of limitations.
Yeah, just because of supply limitations. And it's something where like I know a lot of people are anti Klon flipping because it is kind of driving the hype.
Sure. But it's also supplying the hype. The hype is already there.
Yeah.
So it's a little controversial for you to do this.
I can tell you that when I list this, I will probably list this at $250 as an auction on eBay. Then I may also put it on Reverb at like $400 including shipping. We'll see. Well, I'm not really sure. But in the case of eBay, like if I put it at $250 and let it run, like I'm not driving the hype. The bidders are driving the hype as far as I'm concerned. And for me, like this was kind of just like an investment experiment. We'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's a safe investment because you know that you'll at least be able to break even on this if you can't make a profit on it.
Yeah. Now, both of us have played this pedal. What were your thoughts on it?
Well, I did a really thorough playthrough with it.
Yeah.
I actually was able to do a side-by-side with it against our buddy Nate's JHS Modded Soul Food.
Yeah.
Which is a really fun pedal, by the way, and is a lot cheaper than the KTR. The Klon is a very specific kind of thing.
Yeah.
It is a pedal that you run before either an amp that's on the edge of breakup, or you run it before other drive pedals to push that drive pedal into a heavier drive. It sounds good to me by itself into a clean amp, but that's not the way most people like to use it. It's a really tight, sizzly kind of drive when you push the drive, but most people use it as just kind of like a make everything sound better kind of pedal. And it does do that. It really beefs up your tone. It gives you a lot more... It makes you sound the way that people expect an electric guitar to sound like.
Yeah.
Kind of smooth and creamy and beefy. It's a good sounding pedal. I was honestly surprised by how much I liked it. I didn't want to like it because of the hype, but I feel like maybe it does earn the hype. I'm never going to pay that kind of money for a pedal like that. And I'll be honest, the Soul Food doesn't sound exactly like it. So, you could put the little bit of money. I mean, I think after the JHS mod, Soul Food is what, like 120?
Something like that. Because it's like a $66 pedal. I want to say the mod's $45.
And then after shipping...
Yeah, so you're looking at like 115, 120, maybe 130 tops.
The Soul...
I think Nate bought this used for like $90.
Nice. The Soul Food, side by side, the Soul Food sounded crunchier to me. Like the drive was a little bit looser, a little bit grittier, but it had the kind of this very, very similar characteristics. It's certain settings it sounded a little bit more nasal to me. Like there's a little bit of a nasal quality to it, but it does basically the same thing. It's a make you sound better box.
Yeah.
Like it makes you, like I said, it makes you sound the way people expect an electric guitar to sound. And it does it with a pedal that takes up very little space, and you don't have to have a bunch of amps stacked to do it.
I definitely I was able to dial in pretty quickly when I tried it out with the guitar. I haven't tried it with bass. I won't try it with bass. Like it's just not going to happen.
Sure.
Because I've tried it out. I've messed with it. It's going to go back in the box. Like I said, this is a flip project. I'm not going to use it.
Right. You don't want to risk getting it scratched up or something.
Yeah. And with guitar, it sounds really good.
It sounds good, doesn't it?
Now, I have heard that there is a pedal on the market called the Archer that is cheaper and it's in the same vibe that sounds better. And I want to say it's like $150.
Well, better is very subjective.
Sure.
But, I guess if you're looking for this flavor of pedal, you could probably say that it might sound better and be able to describe why it would sound better.
Both the Klon and the Paul Cocker and Timmy are described as being transparent overdrives. And definitely the Klon nails that. When I was messing with it, I just turned the treble all the way up.
Yeah.
There's a gain knob, a treble knob, and an output knob. And I just turned the treble all the way up, left it bright. I felt like that was the setting that was the most natural, like most similar to the clean tone.
And you can dial these things all the way clean.
Yeah.
Like to the point where there's no drive at all, and it's just a little bit of...
it's just a boost.
It gives you a little bit of... It's not just a boost. There's a little bit of... we call it transparent, but there's a little bit of a flavor it gives you there.
Sure.
It gives you a little bit of creaminess.
But it's not dramatic. Like if you run a tube screamer with the gain all the way down,
the sizzle is still there.
The sizzle's still there, and the mids are still like that big mid boost.
Right.
Like
this is a drive where you would use it, and what it does is so subtle that people wouldn't know that it's there. They might assume that you are running it straight into an amp.
Now that I think about it, I was running it through your Princeton reverb. We're in your house. So I didn't mess with the volume. I just left it where it was. But if I was running this through like my custom at church, where I have room to like turn that thing up, I definitely feel like I could dial in the KTR sound on just the amp itself. And that's not a knock against the KTR. What I'm saying is that the KTR is a very amp-like
Right.
overdrive, where if you're in a big loud setting and you're not like that freaking custom is a 4-watt, 5-watt amp.
Sure.
I think the setting I run it on is 4 watts. So it's very low powered. But the KTR, like, you take that pedal, you drop it in front of a twin reverb. Now you've got a 100-watt amp that's putting out like the sound of a cranked 4-watt amp.
Right, totally.
And that's a really cool sound.
Well, here's the thing that I discovered with it, because I was messing around with different settings as I was setting up to record the video. And I basically told my wife, hey, it's going to get loud around here for about 20 minutes.
Sure.
So she took the baby for a walk. And I was messing around with having the amp right on the edge of breakup, which is what people normally run this
right.
at. And the reason I didn't record the video that way is because I found with the amp on the edge of breakup, no matter what setting I had on the Klon, really it just sounded like the amp was having a gain boost.
Right.
Like it didn't sound like there were inequalities of the pedal coming through, which is basically exactly what people want from these pedals.
That's different than that's different than a tube screamer, because you're going to get that mid hump.
It sounded like my Princeton was turned up louder.
Right.
Because it had a little bit more grit to it.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like all of a sudden I was running a pedal. So that's really where this pedal lives. I understand why people would want this. I still don't think it's a pedal for me. I'm never going to spend that kind of money on a drive pedal.
My only concern with this pedal is that in a multi-guitar band setting, I don't know if it's something that is going to push my amp or push my sound into standing out. I don't know if it's something that's going to cut through the mix. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, but because of like the scenarios that I've played guitar in, like it's something that I'd want to kind of set my guitar apart from other guitars in the mix. But all of that being said, I'm interested in I think it's, I don't know who makes the Archer. I might be J-Rocket. I'm just not sure. And I haven't tried the Soul Food, which is dirt cheap. But this is something where like I could see myself flipping this one. If I could score like 120 for this and then do a couple of other flips between now and whenever they become available again, just buying one and keeping it.
Gotcha.
And again, that's a lot of money. That's like El Cap money. That's Strymon money.
Totally.
That's for an overdrive. But
I feel like with that money though, there's a lot of things I'd rather buy.
Sure.
Okay, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
But with all that, I feel like I now understand people who are into these.
Sure, totally.
Whereas before, when people were paying like a bunch of money for it, I'm like, it's just a pedal. Like, who cares? Like, is it really that big of a deal? Now I feel like I get it a bit more.
I haven't played any other pedals that have that specific quality.
Yeah, there might be clones on the market.
Right.
Clones with a K.
Right.
That do it better. I'm not saying that those don't exist. I think Matthews effects.
Right.
I don't know if Matthews
But
effects. But
there's not any other off-the-shelf pedals that kind of live in this territory.
Right.
That aren't trying to be a Klon.
Right. Exactly. Because I was going to say Soul Food, but again, Soul Food is a Klon.
And here's what I have to say about the Soul
clone.
Food. The JHS mod on it anyways. If you're looking for versatility in a Klon pedal, that's the way to go. That thing has a lot of different settings.
Yeah.
It's got a knob that gives you some extra beef if you want, which is very subtle. The beef knob is very subtle. It dials in extra low if you need it. And it's the sort of thing where you're not going to really notice it unless you are in a place where you are having trouble getting low, and then you can dial it in. You're like, oh, there's my low, finally. It's got a 3-position switch on it that gives you the stock Soul Food clipping, which I honestly thought was the closest to the Klon sound, to the KTR. And then there's a middle position that gives you a more wide open sound, it sounds very nice and strummy and kind of glistening to me. And then there was a setting with a germanium clipping, and that sounded very raunchy and very like gritty.
Yeah,
which is a lot of fun.
We're talking about what's they call the Meat in 3 mod.
Yeah.
And actually, so you can actually order the soul food with the Meat in 3 mod directly from Rogue Guitar Shop, who is now the owner of TMG.
Right. You said you were going to talk about that a few episodes ago.
I know, and I never did.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after this.
But anyway, Ryan pretty much described it. JHS is doing the Meat in 3, and from what I understand, the JHS Meat in 3 is a spin-off of the old JHS Klon that they got so much negative feedback at the time about that pedal that they discontinued it. And I only know that because Wampler talked about it on his podcast.
Sure.